The Big Beautiful Bill brings in a lot of complexities for people running operations. If you're a warehouse manager, operation, or in supply chain, we're gonna go through how you can navigate these changes to your business. There are a lot of huge challenges that you're gonna have to face with respects to new paperwork and customs. If one thing is off on your new paperwork, you can have fines upwards to $10,000 that you're gonna have to pay, really affecting the bottom line. But there's other pros that are gonna come along, which are new tax credits and savings on investments towards technology and innovation. Let's talk about the 5 biggest changes that are going to affect you and your operations. First big problem that's coming down the pipeline is that $800 tax-free or tariff-free for small parcels is going away. So what does that really mean for our end consumers and e-commerce mostly? It means that if the right paperwork isn't in order, that means the HTS code or the country of origin isn't on that parcel coming in, we can get fined up to $5,000 for the first time and $10,000 for the second time and going forward. So having that step of having the right operations and the right paperwork in order is a huge play going forward. My suggestion on that one is making sure that you have the right technology that can follow through and make sure that that's implemented and flag that to your team if it's not. So another thing to be aware of is that there's going to be some delays and wait times as these new policies and procedures are implemented. It's going to take time to get through and make sure all the paperwork is correct. Whereas before, when they saw that number, they would allow that to go through. You need to let your customers and carriers, suppliers, whoever know that there are going to be delays going forward. The other thing that we've seen from this is that we're probably going to see a little bit of a shift in operations coming more towards the US than abroad. And the reason is it only makes sense to do something if it's financially smart. And as you can see, there's going to be more taxes and duties coming on things coming into the country. Whereas when you can bring in bulk loads into a warehouse located within the States, it makes more sense to be able to then distribute that to your customers going forward. The next part of the Big Beautiful Bill is $70 billion investing into ports and security and customs. So what that really means is there's going to be upwards to 1,500 more security customs agents and new technology for scanning and looking through parcels and packages and goods and loads as they come through different ports. So what does that mean for us in the industry as a whole? We're going to have the delays like we're talking about for the small parcels and goods coming in. But now with this, the $70 billion, it's going to allow that technology to kind of streamline things as it's going forward. Now, the negative side to this is, as everyone knows, things don't work beautifully at the beginning. It takes time to get technology and people up and running, humming at 100%. So there is going to be still that slowdown. And also there's going to be more technology there to capture those kind of like mistakes that people have done in the past that kind of slide through that no one notices. With all that technology, they're going to capture that and there's going to be more delays of packages going forward. So it's something to keep in mind as you're going through, making sure that your operations is streamlined, your paperwork is on point. The third big challenge is $75 billion invested into ICE agents and staffing. So what does that mean to someone running a warehouse or facility? That means that there could be key individuals not there tomorrow that are there today. Running operations, there's a lot of times that the people that have been there a long time have a lot of knowledge in their head that isn't written down somewhere. So what happens if that person leaves tomorrow and that knowledge gap is gone? What I'd be focusing in on at this time is making sure that all those small little things that aren't documented are put down somewhere. And also being ready to train maybe a new part of the industry or personnel that's coming in that might be not up to speed to what your operations is and how you're going to get through that, and really focus in on that for the next little bit. The next part of the bill gives 100% write-off and up to 20% tax credits for new buildings, racking, technology for your operations. So what does that mean for us running operations and for you more specifically is now in your first year, setting up a new facility. So that means the warehouse, the racking, forklifts, all that tech that needs to go into running that. You could write that off 100% for that first year and then the 20% tax credits, which is pretty awesome getting that going. On the other side of that, what we've seen from our software side of things is that the uncertainty in the market is really slowing down people making those decisions. Now, people are still moving goods and there is an increase of that certainty month over month, but there is that little bit of a slowdown. So we are seeing that and thinking that it will change in the fall to winter, and people are going to do those investments into those capital goods and also the non-capital such as technology. What I would be doing and looking at right now is, can we afford this right now? If not, how are we going to get there, take advantage of that in the next year or so, and start looking at expanding our operations? This is a pretty good opportunity to take on a little bit of risk, but also increase your operations and foothold against your competitors. Last, we have the National Freight Mobility Program. That's $300 million getting spent over the next 5 years. What it's focusing in on is cargo, ports, and infrastructure. There's going to be more cranes, there's going to be port dredging, and wider roads on the freeways. So why does this really matter to us in the supply chain? There is pros and cons to this. Let's look at the pros first. The pros are that in 2030, we're going to have faster goods moving through wider roads, quicker ports, more crane access, less cargo getting congested. The downside to all that is in the next few years, we're going to have construction. So that means less lanes open, more congestion at those ports, cargo can't move as freely, and that really slows down operations. So it's a double-edged sword on that side. When you look at it for the future, what we're looking for and looking towards, it's really exciting for operations and supply chain to help us out because we have a lot of congestion even today. Next couple of months and years, going to be a little bit harder just moving those goods around and having access to everything. If you're looking to check out more information about this, you can look in the Big Beautiful Bill at 401 to 406 and section 410. So what you should be focusing on is that there's going to be some delays coming down the pipeline. And really the best way to kind of combat this as you're looking at it is having the right information and KPIs in front of yourself. If you don't have those KPIs telling you how long certain loads are taking or when they should have been there and when they weren't, that is going to negatively affect your operations. Whereas on the flip side, if you have those KPIs, you can start making more educated decisions going forward of maybe this load might take a little bit longer or I should expect this in the future. So looking at the Big Beautiful Bill, there are a lot of pros and cons when you're running operations and supply chains. You've really got to look at where your competitors are going and what they'll be doing. And if you can react quicker and be more nimble, that is going to give you that competitive advantage that they don't have. And that is the biggest thing going forward. How do you look at those negatives and make them into big positives? And a lot of that comes down to having the correct operations and procedures in place. If you look at that and you start implementing those, that's really going to slingshot you and make sure you're in a really good spot to take advantage of those negative situations. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more about operations, what's happening in the industry, and trending news, please subscribe below.